Have you ever felt like you're constantly trying to please others, especially your spouse, even if it means sacrificing your own well-being? Do you find yourself bending over backwards, trying to meet every expectation, only to feel depleted and unappreciated? There's a fine line between being a good husband and losing yourself in the process. Today, we're going to talk about how to find that balance, how to be a good husband without compromising your own self-respect and sanity. Now, self-respect isn't about arrogance or egotism, it's about recognizing your own inherent value as an individual. It's about understanding that your needs and desires are just as valid as anyone else's. When you have self-respect, you're less likely to tolerate being treated poorly, and you're more likely to stand up for what you believe in. Think of it this way: if you don't respect yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? If you're constantly putting yourself down or allowing yourself to be treated as a doormat, you're sending a clear message that you don't believe you deserve better. And if you don't believe it, why should anyone else? This doesn't mean you become insensitive or disregard your spouse's needs. It's about finding a balance between being considerate and being taken advantage of. You can be a loving and supportive husband while still maintaining your own autonomy and sense of self. Remember, a relationship is a two-way street. It requires effort, compromise, and respect from both partners. If you're constantly sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of the relationship, it's not sustainable in the long run. So many men fall into the trap of thinking they have to be everything to everyone. They think they need to be the rock, the provider, the fixer, the emotional support system, all while suppressing their own needs and emotions. This kind of pressure can be absolutely crushing. When you're constantly operating under pressure, you're living in a state of fight or flight. Your body is flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone, which can lead to a whole host of physical and mental health problems: anxiety, depression, insomnia, digestive issues. These are just a few of the potential consequences of chronic stress. And let's be clear, trying to live up to an impossible standard is a surefire way to invite chronic stress into your life. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. No matter how hard you push, it's not going to work. So what's the solution? Well, for starters, it's about recognizing that you're not superhuman. You're not meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's about giving yourself permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, to have needs and desires of your own. Now, this is a difficult topic, but it's important to address. Manipulation can be subtle, it can be insidious, and it can be incredibly damaging to a relationship. It often starts small, with guilt trips or passive-aggressive comments, but over time it can escalate into something far more serious. A manipulative partner might try to control you through emotional blackmail, using your love for them as leverage. They might try to isolate you from your friends and family, making you more dependent on them. They might try to undermine your self-esteem, making you doubt your own judgment. It's crucial to recognize the signs of manipulation and to understand that it's not your fault. You are not responsible for another person's behavior, and you're not obligated to tolerate abuse, even if it's disguised as love. Learning to identify and address manipulation can be a challenging process, but it's essential for your well-being. It's about reclaiming your power, asserting your boundaries, and refusing to be controlled by someone else's agenda. Setting boundaries is crucial in any relationship, especially in a marriage. Boundaries are essentially the lines you draw to protect your own well-being. They're a way of communicating your limits and ensuring that your needs are respected. Think of boundaries like fences around your property. They're not there to keep people out, but to define where your property ends and someone else's begins. They provide a framework for healthy interaction and prevent misunderstandings. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to people-pleasing. But it's important to remember that you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space. When you set boundaries, you're not being selfish, you're being self-respectful. You're showing yourself and your partner that you value your own well-being and that you're willing to stand up for what you believe in. Now, let's talk about authenticity. Are you doing things because you genuinely want to, or are you doing them out of obligation or a desire to appear a certain way? Are you trying to be the perfect husband because it aligns with your values, or because you're afraid of what people will think if you don't? Here's the thing about authenticity, it shines through. People can tell when you're being genuine, and they can tell when you're putting on an act. And let's be honest, pretending to be someone you're not is exhausting. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to maintain a facade, and eventually that facade will crumble. When your actions are motivated by superficial reasons, it creates a sense of distance in the relationship. It's like you're building a wall between yourself and your partner, a wall made of expectations and pretenses. True intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires authenticity. It's about being willing to show up as your true self, flaws and all. It's about being honest about your needs and desires, even if they're not always pretty. Finding the balance between being a good husband and maintaining your own identity is a journey, not a destination. It's about constant reflection, communication, and a willingness to evolve. It's about understanding that your needs are just as important as your partner's, and that it's okay to say no sometimes. Remember, a healthy relationship is one where both partners feel seen, heard, and respected. It's not about losing yourself in the pursuit of pleasing someone else. It's about two individuals coming together, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, and creating something stronger and more beautiful together.